everyone, I have some stories from Reddit about Karens. Let's start. So I was on my register today when this lady came to check out. She only had one item, so I thought this would be quick. I was so wrong, OMG. We go through the whole process of checking out. She puts her rewards in. She pays cash. And I hand her the receipt. As I hand her the receipt, she asks, "What coupons do you have today?" Face with hand over mouth, rosy cheeks, and smiling eyes. Face with hand over mouth, rosy cheeks, and smiling eyes. Face with hand over mouth, rosy cheeks, and smiling eyes. I'm like, we have a 20% off on our website. She looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "Well, why didn't you tell me? Can we return this so I can get the 20% off?" I decided not to get fired for saying what I was thinking out loud today and went, "Okay." I would have been happy to help her if she had brought this up while the transaction was in progress. Why wait until after it's done? At this point, I was the only one on register, and there was a line forming, so I quickly return her item and ring it back up. Then I have to show her how to pull the coupon up on the website. Finally, it's all over. She has her 20% off item. As she's about to leave, she looks at me with a judgmental look and goes, "You should have told me earlier, instead of wasting my time," then leaves. Excuse me? If she would have asked about the coupon during the first transaction, it would have saved both of us time. But of course it's my fault. I'm not some mind reader that's supposed to magically know you even want the coupon. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. I will be putting in my 2 weeks notice. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks. Originally posted on Karens. Hi all, it's my first Karen story. All names are changed. Backstory: I married my so 91/2 years ago. We were both divorced with adult children. My ex is completely out of the picture from both me and my kids' lives. My so's ex, however, is very much still an active part in their kids' lives. Their youngest, let's call him Kyle for this post, is married over 10 years with a wonderful wife, 2 stepkids, and their 2 kids together. Kyle decided a few years ago to go back to school and get his degree. His graduation is Friday. Unfortunately, I could not travel for the graduation, but so flew out this morning. He's staying at the house with Kyle's family. And so is his ex, the Karen, and her so. Karen's birthday is tomorrow. My so has his birthday next week. Adil, let's call her Mary, has a birthday right around Christmas also. So on to tonight. My so sent me the story. Karen apparently called Kyle's wife before they arrived. How one Karen ruined Halloween for me. A Halloween Karen story from childhood. For some background, I was always one of the tallest kids in my class. This is an important detail. I'm 11 years old and in the 6th grade, my last year at my elementary school. I've always been a shy kid, but was pretty excited to be trick or treating with my best friend and his family. Only the second time I had been trick or treating without my parents. It was a nice and cool Halloween, and we are making our way through his neighborhood. We go up to one house, and after saying trick or treat, the lady, 50/60, gives every kids a big handful of candy, then looks at me and hands a single tiny piece of candy and says, "Don't you think you're a little too old to be trick or treating?" As I said, I was a shy kid. I didn't think to say I'm still in elementary school or anything else witty. I felt embarrassed and I never went trick or treating again until I had kids. Looking back, I know she is just a bitch, but it really affected me. I promise now I will give candy to anybody who dresses up. I don't care if you're 1 or 121. TLDR, Karen told 11-year-old me I was too old to trick or treat and ruined Halloween for me for many years. Loudly crying face. Loudly crying face. Wow, OP. A story about a Karen on my flight. I am a 24-year-old male from London. I was once on a flight to New York a few months ago. I sat in the window seat of the first row because I have bad anxiety. Around 10 minutes after I boarded, a woman came onto the plane and looked at me, then rolled her eyes. She then said to me, "Up. What are you doing here? This is my row." I was confused because I bought the ticket for the seat. She then proceeded to put her bag in the baggage compartment, and I saw her take my bag out and proceeded to throw my bag onto me. She then said, "This is my baggage compartment." I then called for the flight attendant, who proceeded to tell her not to do that. She then started using her phone even though we were about to take off. I told her that she needed to put her phone away. She then got furious at me and said, "I can do what I want. You're not my mom." I just ignored her and started looking out the window. A few minutes later, after takeoff, she asked me, "What are you doing in my row?" I then told her that I have really bad anxiety and prefer to sit in the first row to get off first. She then told me that anxiety isn't a thing and that I was making stuff up to be in the first row. She then threw her jacket onto me, as well as her backpack. I then put them back onto her, and she got mad. Like mad. She proceeded to yell at me, "How dare you hit me? I am a woman. I just put your stuff back onto you." I said, "No you didn't, you hit me." She then said. I just ignored her and put my headphones in and started to listen to my CD. I then heard her say in my ear, "I will make your life a living hell if you don't hold my stuff." I then told her, "You are not the boss of me." She then proceeded to scream her lungs out. One of the flight attendants came up to her and asked her what was wrong. She then told the flight attendant that I wouldn't hold her stuff. The flight attendant told her that she had enough and went to the captain. We then had to make an emergency landing in Boston to kick her off the plane. The rest of the flight went well, and I hope I won't have to be in a situation like that ever again. Has anyone else developed a fascination with the psychology of Karen parents? Humor. I'm extremely lucky. I teach at a school with a very low amount of Karen parents compared to what I've heard of other schools. We still get the occasional ridiculous parent, and it's fascinating to me. Obviously it's annoying and makes me shake my head at humanity, but it's also morbidly fascinating. One of our 11th graders told a teacher to fuck off in front of K5 kids. We're a K4-12 school near dismissal. In the meeting with him and his mom, the kid justified his actions by saying the teacher was treating him badly. She wasn't, so he had to say it. His mom agreed. That's the part that fascinates me in a sick way. I can accept that an aggravating teenager did something bad. I can accept that he had a terrible justification for his indefensible actions. They always do. But why is his mom defending him? Why is a grown woman using this nonsense defense? I also once had a conference with a different mom, whose kid turned in zero work all year for all his classes. She fully bought every dumb excuse he had. He couldn't understand my speech impediment. Ma'am, I've had whole conversations with him, where he can understand me just fine. That also doesn't account for why he isn't doing homework for other teachers. Well, in algebra he doesn't know what the homework is. Ma'am, the teacher writes it on the board and announces it orally every day. He also has never asked. Well, he doesn't know how to turn homework in. Ma'am, he hasn't asked any of his teachers, and literally, all of us are required to have a labeled tray. He's also in high school, and it's January, and he's not dumb. In fiction, I often enjoy the villain. The villain is more interesting to analyze for me in many cases. It's easy to understand why a good guy is good, but it's interesting to analyze the bad guy, because he's harder to understand. Why would he do this indefensible thing? And I've grown to feel the same way about Karen parents. It's truly baffling how their minds work. Why would you just accept what your kids say? Why are you willing to defend this ridiculous nonsense your kid did? Because if you don't comically analyze Karen parents like supervillains, you'll cry. There's more to the story, but I know the details, and he wasn't mistreated in any way. That's it for today. Please come back and sub and like as you leave my studio. Bye, have a nice day. The following film is partnership with DJ Ek also film, and if copyright is a legal issue of my vids, I will take you up to court. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your support. Bye.